So this little device right here is a mini modern Walkman. But I'm gonna tell you guys why it's not for everyone. My name is Noel, by the way, and I review stuff sometimes. So this is the Snowsky Echo Mini by Fio, and it's a little DAP that looks like a modern Walkman. Almost everything about it screams retro, but there's just some things that I can't put my finger on that feels quite modern. The retro look pair well with retro style headphones like Snowsky's very own Win headphones. And I guess Snowsky did intend for these two to actually pair with each other, but unfortunately these headphones did not come in the box with this DAP or MP3 player right here. Anyway, the Echo Mini is pretty small and pretty lightweight. I'll leave you guys with the dimensions here, but here's a size comparison between it and a cassette tape. It is a slight bit thicker compared to the cassette tape, but it overall has a much smaller footprint, so it can easily fit into almost any pocket size. Design wise, it is made out of plastic, so that can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. For me personally, it's very good because it is very lightweight, and contrary to popular belief, this is pretty durable as well. At the front, you have the 1.99-inch screen, a
IPS
to add to that, so nothing super fancy there. So you can actually see your music playing, the volume when you're changing it, and also comfortably check on the settings as well. It even has this simple cassette graphic when your music is on, so a pretty retro and nostalgic touch in a very modern digital way. On the left, you have your USB charging port and a micro SD slot. On the right, you have your standard 3.5mm headphone jack and also a 4.4mm balance output. Don't worry if you don't prefer wires though, because this does have Bluetooth connectivity, so you can connect to most of your Bluetooth earbuds as well. At the top is the buttons as the only way to interact with the UI, because this isn't a touchscreen unfortunately. So you have your on-off button, your volume rocker, your play pause button, menu button, and also a back button. And if you're wondering, all these buttons are pretty tactile and clicky, so you don't have to worry about not noticing any accidental presses. And at the back, you just have the logo. This is just a design element because it doesn't open up whatsoever, so no removable battery unfortunately. Now speaking about the batteries, this has an 1100 mAh battery, and supposedly Snowsky says that it can last for up to 15 hours of continuous music playback. Now personally, I haven't tested it out for the full 15 hours, but from my casual listening experience, I'd say that that number is pretty much reachable. Now to be honest, I've charged this thing just a few months ago and have been listening to music on it on and off and just left it there ever since. But it still have full bars left on its battery. So if that doesn't mean that this thing is still going strong, then I honestly don't know what is. Now going back to that memory card slot, this does support cards for up to about 256 gigs, but this little thing also has 8 gigs of built-in memory as well. Now I know 8 gigs doesn't seem like much today, but if you stick to MP3
files,
8 gigs can take you a long way, just like how it did back in the day. And while we're at it, let's talk about the file formats that this little thing supports, because it supports both compressed and uncompressed file formats as well. Now I understand most of us are only familiar with MP3 files, but there are music enthusiasts out there who do prefer listening to FLAC and WAV files as well. So this supports both of those file formats too. And if you're like me who only pretends to notice any difference, sticking with MP3s is your safest bet, because it will definitely save you on storage for the long run. Now, before I talk about the sound that the Echo Mini can produce, I'd like to touch on the UI and UX design just for a tiny bit. It's simple enough and it's pretty intuitive for the most part. It's easily understandable, but there are some hitches to look out for. For example, first of all, the buttons. Yes, they are pretty simple to understand, but it's going to take some time to develop the muscle memory when you are going into the menu and settings. Now, this is mainly a concern because you don't go into the menu or settings that often, so developing that muscle memory can take just that slight bit of time. Next, I'm gonna talk about the file management because the Echo Mini is able to sort your songs based on the artists, the albums, or even the genres. But you do need a PC to dial it in just that slight bit more. Now, this is more of a user error kind of complaint, but the Echo Mini doesn't know how to sort the songs in your albums in the correct order. Like I said, it's mostly a user error kind of thing because I've recently found out that you actually need to tweak a little bit of the file settings in order for it to recognize the order of the songs in your albums. Otherwise, it will just sort it out alphabetically. But if you don't really mind that, putting songs into the Echo Mini is pretty much as simple as dragging and dropping. And even with all those minor criticisms, I still love how simple and easy it is to operate, especially when you have your music on. So obviously, press the play and pause button to play and pause. The volume rocker will control your volume, and you can also press and hold the volume rocker to skip or repeat a music. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is that those functions wouldn't really work when you are in the menus or in the settings because those buttons would act more like select or arrow keys instead. Now, when it comes to Bluetooth pairing, the only trouble I've had are when it comes to car-related pairings, because I've only managed to pair it with my car stereo system a handful of times. Because most of the time, it will either disconnect immediately or it won't connect at all. And I guess the Echo Mini isn't really made to be paired with car stereo systems, but if you do need it to connect to your car, you can still use the 3.5mm headphone jack instead. Otherwise, pairing it with my earbuds and Bluetooth speakers all work flawlessly. Well, now on to the thing that matters for any DAP, which is the sound quality. And to be honest, they sound really good. Well, at least with the headphones that I've used them on. And they can even sound great at some point. But to be honest, I haven't used that balanced output, so I can't really talk about that too much, unfortunately. Anyway, I consider the sound that comes out of this as being more towards the fun side of things, which means that this has a U or a V-shaped graph so that the bass and the treble is just slightly exaggerated. But it does lean close to being balanced overall. Again, it will depend on what type of headphones that you are listening this from. But for me personally, I've found nothing bad apart from maybe some songs or some music being just a bit muddy, but it doesn't actually make the listening experience any bad. Personally, when I'm at home and want to listen to my music intently, I will usually hook this up to my KZ ZEX Pros. But when I'm out and about, I would usually pair them to my Realme AirBuds 5 Pros. So when I want a slightly better sound quality, I would definitely hook these up with a pair of wired earphones or headphones. And when I need that convenience of going out, definitely going wireless. So at the end of the day, who is this device for? Well, it's for you guys who wants to cleanse yourself from relying too much on the algorithm selecting your music for you. Because curating your own music gives the listening process a whole lot more of intention rather than simply allowing an algorithm to select your music for you. And being able to connect wirelessly is also a huge upside as well. Because although I personally like to connect this or use this with wired earbuds, wired headphones, I do have to admit that being able to connect wirelessly to your earbuds is a huge plus for a device like this. This little DAP player, this little MP3 player is as simple as it gets, with some potential when you do need it. But who is this device not for? Well, if you like discovering new music easily and seamlessly through streaming platforms, well, you definitely would not prefer this. This little device isn't for those of you who hate carrying extra devices in your pockets, especially when you already have your smartphones. And this is also not for those who have hardcore musical preferences, because this simply covers the basics. And maybe just a slight bit more, but it can't do everything correctly, unfortunately. Because although this isn't cheap in Malaysia, because it costs 250 ringgit or around 50 bucks, I know there are other devices out there that suits other preferences as well. Because if you just want an MP3 music player and don't care at all about sound quality, then this isn't for you, because it might be too expensive and there are cheaper devices out there. And if you want something that really sounds good, there technically is a better device out there, ones that are much more capable than this and honestly much more expensive than this one. The conclusion is simple. I can't really recommend the Snowsky Echo Minis to everyone, simply because everyone has a smartphone these days. And as we all know, smartphones can do what this does better and a whole lot more. So why would you need to carry another extra device around? Well, you might be one of the people who are really into music and really into DAPs, and this might be for you. You might be one of the people who want to detox from the algorithm. This might be for you. Or you might simply just like the retro design. This might be for you. Otherwise, I cannot recommend you guys shelling out 250 ringgit for a small tech piece like this. Though at the end of the day, you have to admit, this is still a pretty cool piece of tech, even though it isn't for everyone.